please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
What about NBCC, Anisha?
Well, I'm personally a bit disappointed with the numbers because they have an order book of around 80,000 odd crores, but it is not actually converting into revenue. Now, the management keeps pushing the revenue expectation by a quarter every time they come on the channel, but it doesn't look like it is really converting. And let's see whether the investors keep the faith or not, because remember, even the valuations are not cheap. Despite softening, the valuations are still above 30 times FY19 earnings. But just to run you through the numbers, the revenue declined by around 3% to come in at 2,550 crores. The PAT also declined by around 150 crores. The margins were flat, so not major improvement seen in the numbers. Back to you.
Okay, and what about some of the other results that you're watching today, Anisha? Anything looked good there?
Oh yes, I'll start with the good numbers. Kalpataru Power actually came out with good, said they met their guidance for FY18, gave a strong guidance of 15 to 20% for FY19. In terms of the numbers on your screen, they saw an overall improvement in all the parameters. Moving on to Dixon Tech, the mobile segment was a bit weak, and that's the reason the revenue is a bit tepid, but overall the other segments performed well, and hence a profit growth of around 40%. Expect the stock to remain in green today. Moving on to Engineers India, well, it was a bit of mixed set because, you know, the profit was up around 4%. That was because there was a write-off of around 26 odd crores, but the revenue jump was solid at around 15%. Let's see how that one moves today. Himmat Singh Seed, I'm expecting a green tick on that because the gross margins improved by 200 basis points. The profit also up around 10% for that one. Moving on to Sundaram Finance, the AUM was up around 20%. The GNPAs declined. The NNPAs also declined a tad bit. Max Financial, where the AUM growth was strong, there 17%. The premium growth also was around steady at around 23% growth. Moving on to the bad numbers then, Jagran Prakashan, the numbers were below estimates. Revenue was down around 2.5% and the profit also down about 23% in trade. Other than that, Corporation Bank, the third consecutive quarter of net loss for that one. The bank also reported a GNPA diversion of around 5,000 odd crores. Important to see how that one reacts. Lastly, on Viatech Vibhag, well, the disappointment continues there. The revenue is down, the profit is down, and more importantly, the working capital days expanded by 45 days on a year-to-year basis. Back to you.
Okay, thanks a lot for that, Anisha. Mangalam, 1%, and there's of course that auditor issue as well.
Absolutely, you know, Anuj, so the results were due on May 30th, and last evening, we got a sudden announcement on the exchanges saying that their auditors, Deloitte, Haskins & Sells, have resigned from the company as statutory auditors, and as a result of that, the results won't. The board meeting, which was due just 2 days later, is not happening. It stands cancelled. It is shocking because such announcements coming in from the auditor just 2 days ahead of results does spook investors. The company has gone ahead and replaced the auditors. They've got new auditors. However, the street will still be worried. Remember, you know, this is not the first time this has happened for 1% Beverages. Just about a year ago, when they raised money for the QIP as well, there were reports that there is some sort of financial misreporting or something of that sort. The stock has corrected 40% from there. The auditor resigning may spook the investors further today.
Oh, absolutely. This has happened in the past, right? So people are not going to forget that, the kind of fall that we saw the last time this took place. But Sonal, what about the other numbers that have come out post-market hours?
I'll start with the good numbers. Ramakrishna Forging, strong set of numbers. Revenue grew around 57%, led by 41% growth in its tonnage. Also, margins, they went up by 690 basis points on a YOY basis. Expect that stock to do well in trade today. Excel Industries has been a multi-bagger this year and excellent numbers again. Revenue went up by 57% and operating profit margins, they expanded by around 2,450 basis points. Make Money Organics, another good set of numbers, strong operational performance. Operating profit margins, they expanded by 480 basis points and profits, they went up by 1.6 times. Indian Hotels, a lot of people checking into hotels. EBITDA went up by 38%, profits went up by 70%. Also, the company has been able to reduce its debt by 560 crores over last three months and now stands at 2,330 crore rupees. Waterbase, decent set of numbers. Revenue went up by 10% and EBITDA also went up by 14.5%. Last, Gujarat Fluoro, weak set of numbers, mainly led by its wind energy biz, and operating profit margins, they also contracted by 320 basis points. Expect that stock to do not to do well in trade today.
Okay, thanks a lot for that. So here's a quick recap then, in case you missed out on our stocks. The top stocks to watch today, expected to gain, are names like Bajaj Finance, you have DCB Bank, Sun Pharma, Tech Mahindra, Divi's Labs, Nalco, PC Jewelers, Ramakrishna Forgings, Excel Industries, all good numbers coming in. Make Money Organics, Indian Hotels, Waterbase, Kalpataru Power, Dixon Technology, Himmat Singh Seed, PC Jewelers, SBI, PNB, HDFC, Indiabulls Housing Finance, IOCL, BPCL and HPCL.
Now, I would add even ONGC. Look at the way it got beaten up, expecting that people are going to pull off some windfall cess on them. I think there'll be relief rally across these stocks. But expect to be under pressure. Bank of Baroda, I'm not so sure. I wouldn't take that. NBCCS, Gujarat Fluoro, Avanti Feeds, Manpasand Beverages for sure, Engineers India, Jagran Prakashan Corporation Bank, and VA Tech Vabak.
Well, the markets have seen a sharp rally from the recent lows. And this morning, it looks like the start should be good. Ashwini Gujral, Sudarshan Sukhani, and Prakash Kaba now join us. Good morning, gentlemen. Ashwini, what's the trade today? If we start around 10,620, is there a trade on the Nifty?
Well, good morning. Possibly a milder trade on the Nifty than the last couple of days, but still upside bias. But I think the mid-cap short covering has just started mainly on Friday. So that is where things could continue to move higher. While macros, etc., have kind of become a bit more benign. So it still remains a buy on dip. But I want to get onto stocks which have had 10-15 days worth of falls, things like CAT or India Bulls Housing, or things which have collapsed, because there the percentage of rallies that you'll get will be fairly significant.
Okay. Good morning, Ashwini. I also wanted to ask you, what is your view on the crude chart now that that has collapsed so much?
So you can say broadly, as long as 70 is held on, this is a correction. It also moved up very sharply. So say it started from 60 to about 80. A 50% correction can happen at any time. This overall appears to be a corrective move in the markets as well as in the crude. But in case we start to fall below 70, then things can be reworked. But till then, just enjoy the rally.
Okay, enjoy the rally till then. Sudarshan Sukhani and Prakash Gaba also join in. Gentlemen, morning. Sudarshan, what's the sense you're getting? I mean, it was all over the place yesterday. Of course, we did make or rather last week, of course, we made an attempt to recover. But do you think that could sustain, given that crude has fallen?
Yeah, good morning. Well, I think the markets are likely to sustain their up move, at least not go down today. We are only talking on a day-to-day basis. Today, the markets suggest that there is a bullish bias. We have buyers in the Nifty. If the Nifty has a small dip towards 10,590 or 600, that's the futures price. Or if it consolidates intraday, any time for 1 hour or 1.5 hours, then there is a buying opportunity again. So on a dip, on a consolidation, the trade is to buy the Nifty, and that same trade comes about for the Nifty Bank. So we are upbeat for the day, and we have to take this on a day-to-day, because it's not as if a big trend has started. We became bullish on Thursday morning, that continues, and this may stop in the next few days, but for today, have a bullish bias and buy on a dip, buy on a consolidation.
Okay. Prakash, good morning to you. Your Nifty trade?
Good morning to you. Well, I feel that basically looks like we have seen a good base formation around 10,400. Thereafter, from swing low to swing high, around 230 points rally is there. I think that rally should continue up. In the next couple of days, we could see an up move here. The technical targets are 10,674 to 10,733 to maybe around 10,780 zone. So there's a good possibility until FNO expiry. Only thing is, where do we buy it? I would prefer that we have a sluggish move. The sluggishness should be bought into. If we get a dip, yes, very strong support in the vicinity of 10,555, 600 zones. As long as that whole upside is not, best is to buy dips.
Okay, best is to buy dips. Let's talk about individual stocks then. Ashwini, a larger question first. On Friday, we saw banks do well. IT again started to underperform. You reckon that could continue? And what would be your stock ideas for the day?
Yeah, IT will come off if rupee appreciates, and the entire theory is turned on its head, where earlier IT was going up, banks were going down. Now the reverse is happening. So people who are looking for dips on IT should be using these declines, maybe some more declines before they get in. But overall, IT remains in an uptrend. Banks could still have more upside, particularly the mid-cap ones, because so far it's been kind of large cap focused. As far as individual stocks are concerned, Exide is a buy with a stop of 252, target of 268. Dabur is a buy with a stop of 374, target of 390. Pidilite had a large move the other day, where it first went down and then went up. That's a buy with a stop of 1120, target of 1180. HCL Tech is sell with a stop of 925, target of 890. And BEML is a sell with a stop of 950, target of 910.
Okay. Well, I will come back to you, especially for more NBFC questions. Sudarshan, your list?
Well, the list is on the long side, but it's almost all large caps. I think the mid caps, that big decline in mid caps is not over. We can have some minor relief rallies. My focus is on large caps. That starts with TCS. TCS actually had a big gap up on Friday and did not sustain. I think ID stocks are still having reasonable upside momentum. That's a buying opportunity. Then ICICI Bank comes in the list. ICICI Bank could outperform in the private sector banks. That's a buy. M&M is a buy. M&M had a good day on Friday and that's likely to continue and it's going to be a strong outperformer. That's a buying opportunity. So there are three buys: TCS, M&M, ICICI Bank, and finally Hind Liver. Hind Liver from the FMCG group also has started a small rally. We are really looking at a modest rally in the Nifty, maybe another 100 points, 50 points, and that applies to these stocks. But they are all buys today. The only short sell is Ramco Cement. Cement is all over the place on the downside. It's a reasonably decent intraday short.
Okay, well, you spoke about Hindustan Unilever. Let me take that consumption, argument forward. Prakash Gaba, on Friday, you had some really good numbers coming in from Page Industries. That stock actually broke out. You reckon that there could be some more to go? And what else are you looking at?
Yes, certainly looks like there is a good chance in Page Industries going up from here. Very, very strong supports. Base formation. I think Page Industries can climb to around 25,500 plus zones. Stop below 23,900. I'll go with Dabur, certainly looking good, a good sideways consolidation. The move on Friday seems to be looking encouraging. Can climb to around 385 zones, stop below 374. I like Exide as well. Seen a good correction, up move has resumed. Target on the upside in the vicinity of 266, stop below 252. And I like Hindalco from the metals pack. Good move, good base formation. Looks like it's heading up again. Hindalco target 255, 260 zones. Stop below 237.
Okay. Well, finally, Ashwini, if the yields indeed were to move lower, which is what our bond market guys are telling us that they'll move towards 7.7, which would be your pick of the pack in the NBFC list?
See, the most beaten up NBFCs will probably move up higher because that is where the shorts are. So your Bajaj Finance, etc., will be 0.5%, 1% higher, but the big gain will come in, Canfin Home, LIC Housing, India Bull Housing, those sort of stocks. So the mistake people can make is try to get into the top quality stocks, hoping that the market rally takes them higher, but they will do mildly, while the things which have been beaten up, they will go up more strongly, and because cost of capital is probably perceived to be coming off. So all the mid caps which got bashed up, 30-40%, they are likely to recover, 50% of their losses. So pay attention to the smaller stocks rather than going with the larger stocks.
Okay, well, thanks guys for that. Don't forget, the US markets are also shut later today because of the Memorial Day weekend. So that's another added trigger to watch how our markets respond to trade.
Well, here's one face that was so familiar, but we haven't seen her in a bit. And this is what she told us. With the resolution of Bhushan Steel under IBC, it is the beginning of a new era for the banking sector. That was the word I got from former SBI Chairman Arundhati Bhattacharya. In a rare and exclusive chat, she spoke to us about several issues. Here's an excerpt.
Surely I do think that it's at long last sort of beginning to crystallize, and we have to understand that this is a new law. So it's going to be tested. Plus you also must understand that these are valuable assets. So nobody is sort of going to give up without a fight. And however, the good thing is that most of the cases where it has gone to the courts have been very prompt and they have given very well-reasoned judgments. That's very important because then the case laws are framed and then, subsequently anybody comes with the same kind of issue, it's much easier to resolve. Even where investments are very low, credit growth is very low, still if you look around, you will see many sectors doing very, very well. So, if you consider the commercial vehicle sector, if you consider aviation sector, if you consider the sheer number of tourist arrivals and the usage of the airports. You know, I was told the other day, Mumbai airport is handling more than 980 flights on a daily basis. So, you know, if you look at all of these numbers, you can understand that there is a momentum in the country. And that is slowly now, you know, beginning to have its impact on our other numbers. So I think, you know, it's a good thing that has happened, and we'll hope for many more resolutions in the next few months.
Okay, but I mean, the big fear, since I was a reporter and a cub reporter in '93 when the DRT Act was passed, and a more seasoned reporter in 2003 when SARFAESI was passed, even now there are 4,000 cases and only 2,000 are being heard in the 12 NCLTs. Is there a fear that this might get overwhelmed under the weight of cases?
See, there is no doubt about the fact that you need to create the kind of bandwidth that will enable these cases to be heard, and heard quickly and resolved. So there is no doubt about that at all. And in fact, you know, I think I would say that it's the media's job to keep tracking this so that nobody forgets about it, that it doesn't sort of, you know, get onto the back burner and people start disregarding it as we have the delays in the regular courts.
Okay, well, that's the word coming in from the former SBI chairman. You don't hear from her very often, but when you do, there's lots to learn. All right, Nischal Maheshwari, the head institutional equities at Edelweiss Securities, joins us now to talk about the markets and individual stocks. Nischal, hi, good morning. I'm going to drill it down straight to individual stocks because we've had a lot of earnings over the weekend. I wanted your thoughts on how to approach IT now. Tech Mahindra was a good set of numbers. In general, the IT pack has done well. Do you think all of it is in the price, or do you expect another leg of a rally in technology stocks?
Good morning, Sonia. Obviously, I think the IT continues to do pretty well, and I think it started from the last quarter when most of them actually, most of the IT companies came out and they said that they see a very, very strong order book situation coming in, orders coming in, order flowing in, and that's what we've seen in the current quarter. So I think this, I believe that the outlook on the industry will keep on improving. And I definitely see that there is a very strong case for stocks in the IT sector to be bought at every tip. Now, in the last one quarter, obviously, most of the stocks have run up quite a bit. So wait for a correction to buy these stocks. But definitely, I see that there is a very strong story which is building up in the whole IT sector, and obviously rupee is also supporting. So we are very positive on the whole IT sector.
Okay, good morning, Nischal. I wanted your call on Bank of Baroda. Will the market receive it like it received SBI?
Morning, Lata. I think the results are in line with the expectations. Though we are positively surprised with the growth, almost 17% kind of a growth basically on the loan growth, and I was just in the morning meeting understanding where the loan growth has come from. So around 42% of the growth is from the retail, and the remaining is from the corporate sector. So I think Bank of Baroda, SBI, these are some of the guys basically which are going to be beneficiaries of this growth, because most of the others do not have capital in the PSU side. As far as asset quality is concerned, looks good to me basically, because they have already recognized quite a bit of their power assets. Basically, I think that's the last sector which is still remaining. Keeping my fingers crossed, basically, I continue to see that there is another couple of quarters of pain as far as PSU whole pack is concerned, and Bank of Baroda also. But going ahead, we see some light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, you see some light at the end of the tunnel. All right, but you know, some of these consumption niche stories have done really well this quarter, Nischal. For example, Pidilite, where, you know, it's been a double-digit volume growth returning after, what, 4 years. Page Industries had a fabulous set of numbers this time. Anything that you like from this space?
So I think, Sonia, there are two things which are playing out. One is obviously that the rural consumption is picking up pretty strongly, and we've seen it across basically FMCG, paint sector, Pidilite. And the second thing is what we are seeing is the movement from the unorganized to organized. And that is where you are seeing positive stuff happening as far as Pidilite and Page Industries and some of the other sectors are concerned. So I think these two themes will continue to play out, and we particularly like some of these sectors still largely on the rural consumption theme, because we believe that there's going to be a positive outlook as far as monsoons are concerned, and these stocks will further benefit. So we continue to like likes of lever out there in that space.
Okay. Sun Pharma, do you think Sun is finally rising?
Lata, my views on the whole pharma sector are not are quite clear. Basically, okay. I do not see clarity as far as the regulatory outlook is concerned. I still do not get clear visibility that how the US FDA clearance is going to come, and there's been around 3.5 years Sun Pharma has been their plant has not got through. So I would take it with a pinch of salt.
Okay. What about, you did mention fleetingly about the NBFC names. Stocks like Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Finserv have gained quite a bit of ground this month. In fact, been the biggest performers on the index, up about 11%. You think there's still more merit in some of these larger names, or would you look for smaller NBFCs to buy into now?
So I've been positive on the whole NBFC space for a long time, and my thought process there is basically that given that the PSU banks, which still control almost 70% of the corporate lending, given that they do not have enough capital to lend in the market, I think that space, and they are going to be vacating the space, and that space is being captured by NBFCs and the private sector banks. Given that the private sector banks do not have the same kind of wherewithal and the reach, I think some of these niche NBFCs are going to be definitely taking a market share out of this. Again, in the housing finance companies, they are also particularly growing very, very strongly because of this. So I think the whole NBFC space continues to look good. As far as names are concerned, I think there are a lot of names basically, but we particularly like the housing finance space name, and there the top picks continue to remain as DHFL and HDFC Limited.
All right. It's always a pleasure having you with us, Naveen, Nischal, especially at a time when so many results have come in. Thank you very much indeed for joining us and giving us your views on a bunch of sectors. Well, we still need to get through with FNO cues today. Vinod Sharma has been patiently waiting by. Good morning, Vinod. What are you trading today?
Yeah, finally the shoe is on the other leg now. We have both the crude and the dollar. Yes. Now
positive for us.
Yes, for us. And despite the 4% crude falling Friday, there is further down in electronic trade. So what I'm looking at is a play on this. So I think Bajaj Finance is a stock which will, Bajaj Finserv will do much better than all other stocks, primarily better than Bajaj Finance because it is into insurance and finance both. So I'm buying the 6,100 call at around 86, stop loss at 50 and target of around 150. This Bajaj Finserv. Okay. I also see metals doing well today because of the opening that you have seen in China. Hindalco, which did well yesterday, should go on to do much better. I am buying the 245 call here at around 3.5, stop loss at 2, target of around 7. Hindustan Zinc, which doesn't have very good trade, volumes are pretty low and OI is not so high, but it did see some 3% open interest addition yesterday. More importantly, it is also a fact that zinc has done much better than the other commodities in China. So I'm buying the 6,100 call here. Hindustan Zinc, I'm buying the 290 call at 3.7, call the stop loss at 2 and target of around 8.
Okay, so that's on Hindustan Zinc, right? Hindalco yes. As well was the other call that you had. You also like Maruti. Do you get a sense that Maruti could get back to that almost 10,000 mark it had hit recently, or would it just amble around these levels?
I think it is now plateauing out, and I think the next move of Maruti should be on the upside. We have seen open interest gradually reduced on Friday, and some the stock went up by 2%. So usually before I think some kind of open interest has to be shed before the stock going up, and open interest is built on the longer side. So I'm buying the 8,600 call here in Maruti at around 67, stop loss at 40, and a target around 120.
Okay, thank you very much, Vinod Sharma, for joining us with your strategies.